What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to go over the review scores for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. They came out this morning, and there's actually plenty to talk about. Number one, there's very, very few sites that actually did this. That's not all that surprising, considering this is a multiplayer-only game. It's got one mode and 3 maps. Now, we knew that, or at least, fans of the game, people leading into this game, we knew that was about to happen. But just so you know, there's not a lot of scores, really, to go through. There's 8 scores. I think 2 didn't give it a score, but they do have thoughts, and at least one of them is actually sounding pretty low, pretty bad. And also, the average is a 74, okay? 74 out of 100 or 7.4 out of 10. Couple things to say there, and one thing is going to be the thing I always say. Review scores are meaningless, okay? You cannot tell me the difference between a 74 and a 75. I don't go based off scores. I go based, well, number one, I go based off my own opinion, based off what I see of the game. But number two, if I were to go off of it, I would go off of what they are saying, what the actual words in the review say, not the scores that they actually give. But I know not everybody does that. The game got a 74. Okay, there's a couple things in terms of pros and cons, and obviously the cons I think I want to really focus on, because the pros are not all that surprising. It seems like what people like the most is this is a faithful, well, I don't know, faithful retelling is probably not the right phrase, but they're doing it justice. It feels like Texas Chainsaw. It looks like Texas Chainsaw. This is about as good as you can get, and again, that's not surprising. From those that played the tech test, from those that have been, I guess, making these videos, those that have been watching these videos, we all knew that it seems like they truly know what Texas Chainsaw is, and they did an incredible job of recreating it. That's not to say the game's perfect, but in terms of the atmosphere, the tone, the tension, right? I talked a lot about that in the tech test. The game is really good. That's the game, in my opinion, it's its biggest strength, okay? And that is the biggest strength in terms of the scores. And then overall, people seem to like it. The idea of the, cat and mouse, killers versus victims, people seem to overall enjoy it. There are 2 main issues that I have found throughout these reviews, if they had issues with the game, okay? Number one, some of them had a really big problem with the difficulty. Now, that one's tough, and I had talked about that leading up. I don't know how much you dock for that, but the one that didn't give it a score, which was Games Radar, they really had trouble with this game. Now, you could always pull out the whole, game reviewer suck at game idea, which guess what? That's not actually all that wrong. It probably is more right than it is wrong, but they had a huge issue with how difficult the game is and how there's not a lot of, direction. They don't really tell you what to do. They say there's 40 plus tutorials in the game. You don't play them. I believe you watch them. And they were just really confused with the game. So I don't know how seriously you want to take the review based off a person that doesn't really know how to play the game. But again, I will say, although we can clown on them all day, and I'm more than happy to, I did say from the tech test on, this game is difficult, and this game is not going to be for everybody, even though it's on Game Pass. People, I do think, are going to have legitimate issues with this game because it is legitimately hard. You need to have good communication. You need to be talking with each other, and if you don't, I think the casual, average, player is going to quit. I've been saying that for 2 months now, so if that's what they're trying to say and just doing a bad job at saying it, that's fine. I actually kind of agree with that. Now, should that be in the review? I guess. I mean, general players would look at the review for the game that they would generally play, right? I think those that are actual legitimately want to be there, I guess, for the game, right? They're willing to give it a try. They're willing to stick with it, and they're willing to communicate, talk to each other, plan stuff out. Those are the diehards. Those are the people that are going to keep the game going, and that's where the game is going to get even more difficult, but also a lot of fun. So I guess it just kind of depends on what kind of player you are, but the scores do kind of reflect the difficulty to that extent. There is one other one that I think is a lot less subjective, right? Difficulty is kind of subjective, but one other thing is bugs, and this one kind of scares me. IGN kind of went off at them for that. They gave it a 6 out of 10, but a couple others. This wasn't the only, review that gave it a low score or said specifically about the bugs. This game has a lot of issues when it comes to frame rate, when it comes to performance. Their specific thing that they said is every time a killer would get close to a victim and would attack, the game would actually, the frame rate for every player, not even just the 2 that were doing it, right? One killer, one victim being attacked there. everybody in the match would have like a drop in frame rate, not to where it was unplayable, but to the point that they knew when the frame rate dropped, they knew somebody was in trouble and somebody was getting attacked. They also, they did say every single match they had, there was some sort of graphical or performance issue. That is a big deal. That's a huge deal. And Friday the 13th had this issue. I actually went off on Friday the 13th for months when that game first came out. I was actually around. I made videos back then. That game was atrocious in terms of the performance, how it ran, the bugs that were still... Now, the bugs were kind of funny in Friday the 13th, but ultimately, you don't want to bug every single game. You don't want it to ruin the experience. And Friday the 13th struggled for months and months and months to fix those things. And I would argue they didn't even do it, at the end of the day. So for this, that cannot happen, in my opinion. So that one is a lot less subjective, and it definitely is one I was worried about, because a multiplayer game, a game that literally you can only play multiplayer, there are no bots, it's all human beings playing this game, right? You need the 7 people. I believe you can play 4 in a private match, but 7 is ideal. You want 7 people to be in the game. If there's performance issues that drive people away, especially in the first week, with the competition, like with so many games coming out, you don't have like a month and a half to fix these issues, right? If the game is, say, in like mid-October, they say, we got it, we fixed all the graphical stuff. Spider-Man's out, Super Mario's out, Alan Wake is out, Assassin's Creed is out, Starfield's been out, Baldur's Gate's been out. You don't really have that luxury of months and months and months to fix the game. And I know some of those aren't multiplayer games, but there will be more multiplayer games that replace things. You got to come out swinging, you got to come out strong. So that's something that I hope maybe is fixed in a day one patch, or maybe within the first week they fix these issues, because if it is as bad as they say, and I mean, again, quite a few sites mention the bugs, that's got to be fixed, and it's got to be fixed early. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Again, as I said in yesterday's video, I will be playing it. I'll do my own review. I'll have tips and tricks. I'll be playing it with you guys. I'm going to live stream it. I got lots of video ideas for this game, so you can friend me on PlayStation or Xbox. My name's Podcast Now on those places. If you want to subscribe to the channel, obviously that would be great. Bell icon turned on. All my other social media links are in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next one.